Welcome to Ageless. I'm Dr. Jonquille Chantrey, and this is the medical podcast exploring the science of healthy aging, medical aesthetics, and the choices that shape how we age. Now, every week I sit opposite patients who ask me exactly the same question. What's the best treatment to stop my skin from aging? And they expect me to talk about lasers, injectables, collagen stimulators, or of course the latest regenerative treatments. But before we even begin talking about any treatments, I ask a much simpler question. How good are you at protecting your skin? Now, many patients think that the SPF in makeup is enough, or they don't use a facial product specific for their skin type. Recently, I asked 20 doctors of different specialties to name their top tip for long-term skin health, and they all still said SPF. Today's episode is about understanding what light is doing to our skin and some of the ways that we can protect it. Now, in my personal opinion, sunlight isn't the enemy. We know it can help regulate our body clock properly. It influences serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin. It helps shape our mood, our sleep, and our energy. UVB is also the wavelength that helps us to produce vitamin D, which is essential for bone health, muscle function, and our immune system. So this isn't an anti-sun episode. It's an episode about intelligent exposure, understanding what the body needs and what the skin also needs protecting from, because they're not always the same thing. Recent global research estimated that 83% of melanoma cases diagnosed in 2022 were attributable to UV exposure. And that's why I see SPF as preventative medicine. Sunlight contains many wavelengths of light. UVB is the wavelength closely associated with sunburn. It's also responsible for direct DNA damage, and it's the ultraviolet wavelength involved in producing vitamin D within the skin. UVA behaves really differently. It penetrates much deeper into the skin, where it accelerates collagen breakdown, it contributes to pigmentation, and it drives a lot of the visible aging like wrinkles and sagging that we associate with sun exposure. A simple way to remember it is B is for burning and A for aging, but don't take that too literally. Both contribute to skin cancer and both create oxidative stress. One of the biggest misconceptions that I hear really frequently is that SPF 50 must be almost twice as protective as SPF 30, but it isn't. SPF 30 filters around 97% of UVB rays, but SPF 50 filters around 98%. In lab testing, that's only around about a 1% difference. But I still usually recommend SPF 50 because sunscreens are tested using a really generous amount of product that almost nobody actually applies in real life. Most people only use somewhere between about a quarter and half of the recommended amount. So SPF 50 simply just gives us a bigger safety margin. And here's a really common misunderstanding. The SPF rating only tells you about UVB. It tells you very little about UVA protection. So that's why I always recommend choosing a broad spectrum sunscreen with 4 or 5 UVA stars, or the UVA symbol that sits inside a circle. Modern photoprotection has also moved far beyond just ultraviolet light. Every day, we're exposed to more than just UV. There's also visible light, infrared heat, pollution, we've got chronic stress, and inflammatory aspects from diet choices. So visible light, particularly the blue-violet wavelengths that are in sunlight, can really worsen pigmentation and melasma. So that's why iron oxides in tinted sunscreens can offer extra protection for the right patient. Of course, not all light is harmful. Controlled red and near-infrared light, like the ones that we use in medical LED devices that are here in the clinic, they can support cellular repair, whereas excessive infrared from the sun increases oxidative stress, and it also increases collagen breakdown. The best sunscreen is the one that's right for your skin. If you're oily or acne prone, you're probably going to prefer a lightweight, oil controlling formula. If your skin is dry or dehydrated, look for one that also helps to support your skin barrier. And if you have melasma or persistent pigmentation, a tinted sunscreen that might contain iron oxides might give you another layer of protection against visible light. One of the questions that I'm asked all the time is whether mineral or chemical sunscreens are better. And the honest answer is that neither is universally better. Mineral sunscreens use ingredients like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide to protect against UV radiation, while chemical sunscreens use UV filters that absorb UV energy before it can damage the skin. Both can provide excellent protection when they're well formulated and they're used correctly. For me, it's much more about choosing the right sunscreen for the right person. Mineral formulations are often a good option for very sensitive skin, but with some formulations, they can leave a little bit of a white cast. Chemical formulations tend to feel lighter and can be more cosmetically elegant, and people often say that they feel happier wearing those every day. If pigmentation or melasma is your main concern, then I often recommend a tinted SPF that contains iron oxides. Iron oxides are the natural mineral pigments, but they're not UV filters. Instead, they provide additional protection against visible light, which is an important trigger for pigmentation. And iron oxides can be added to both mineral and chemical sunscreens. At the end of the day, the best sunscreen isn't mineral or chemical. It's the one that you'll apply generously, you'll reapply it consistently, and use it every day. So how much should you apply? A useful practical guide for the face and neck is approximately 2 finger lengths of either a cream or a fluid sunscreen. Apply it evenly across the face, always include the ears and the neck. Make sure you include the hairline, potentially the scalp, the eyelids where the formula permits, and also the upper chest, the hands and anywhere else that's exposed. If a full amount feels difficult to apply at once, just use 2 thinner consecutive layers. Sunscreen should be the final step of your morning skincare routine and before makeup. And this brings me to something that I recommend to my patients. Always pair your sunscreen with a well-formulated antioxidant like vitamin C. My daytime protocol is antioxidant first, broad spectrum SPF last. A stable topical antioxidant can help neutralize some of the free radical damage generated by UV radiation and environmental exposure, as well as protecting the collagen that you have and helping with new collagen formation. Clinical studies have demonstrated additional photoprotection from specific stabilized combinations of vitamin C, and also in combination with other molecules like vitamin E and ferulic acid. But the antioxidant doesn't replace the sunscreen, and not every vitamin C serum has equivalent stability or biological activity. Think of the antioxidant and the sunscreen as complementary layers of defense. So how often should you reapply your sunscreen? SPF isn't designed to last all day, even those ones with the higher factors. In real life, it should be reapplied every 2 hours if you're outdoors, and immediately after swimming, heavy sweating, or towel drying, because the protective film naturally breaks down and is physically removed. If you're wearing makeup, use a broad spectrum sunscreen stick or a fine mist to top up your protection without disrupting your makeup. One of my favorite sunscreens is Zio Smart Tone Broad Spectrum SPF 50, as it adjusts to skin tone and it has UV filters with iron oxides, plant-derived melanin, and antioxidants. The tint instantly evens skin tone, while the iron oxide provides additional protection against visible light, making it particularly useful for pigmentation and melasma. For oily or blemish prone skin, I like SkinCeuticals Oil Shield UV Defense SPF 50. It combines filters and it absorbs excess sebum, giving a mattifying finish that's ideal for patients who avoid sunscreen because they hate the shine or it causes them to break out. I also regularly recommend SkinCeuticals Advanced Brightening UV Defense SPF 50. We tested this extensively here in clinic before it was released to the global market. It's a lightweight sunscreen containing 1% tranexamic acid and 2% niacinamide, which help improve the appearance of pigmentation while protecting against further UV damage. For portability, I really like the Lancaster Sun Beauty Face Stick. This is an SPF 50. It's water and sweat resistant and it's perfect for quick and easy reapplication. And I always keep one in my bag when I'm traveling or when I'm playing pickleball or tennis. These are my personal clinical favorites, but they're not universal prescriptions. I have a clinic full of sunscreens, but the right sunscreen depends on your skin type, your lifestyle, and how likely you are to use it consistently. If you're unsure where to start, book a consultation with a trusted doctor. At One Aesthetic Studio, we create personalized skin plans that evolve with your skin over time. If you'd like to find out more about these products, you can find a link down below in the description. SPF is one of the simplest ways that we can invest in our skin longevity so that it stays healthier, stronger, and more resilient for years, whilst we can still enjoy sunlight. And I think that in modern day stressful life, I really believe that we need to enjoy our lives outdoors because it brings many health and well-being benefits, and this is more important than ever. So if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a review and share it with somebody who still thinks that SPF is only for holidays. Together we're redefining how we age, how we look, how we live and how we feel. I'm Dr. Jonquille Chantrey and this has been Ageless.